Welcome to the Chaos of Sustainability.
Aloha mai kako. Thank you folks for joining us today on this conversation on sustainability, and we want to thank all our guests for being here. We'll recognize them very shortly. We just want to start with a traditional oli to welcome you folks, and some of you might know it. In my tradition, we call it oli kahea, and it's an oli or chant to welcome you. Oh, now mai ka me kalipua. Hallelujah, oh, gloria e amani me, eli amei ho'i o kahiki mai, aki mai no, ki puno e ki aloha, aloha e. Aloha.
Aloha, nai me ke aloha. Aloha. E hola ya o ko ma o wau o lele mea hiku aina mai nei o ahu mai wainai mai au.
My name is Kamahana. I am from Waimea on Hawaii Island. I was born here. Welcome again.
We are really honored to have you here. We are really honored to have you folks here. We're actually broadcasting live on YouTube, streaming live our event. This is the Chaos of Sust-AINA-bility. I'm Delamia. I'm your facilitator, and this is Kamahana. We represent Hawaiian Island Science, East-West Center Participation Association, and Pan-Pacific Association. Before we start, I just wanted to introduce who we are and what this event is about. As you can see in the screen, the purpose of our cafe is to increase information and dialogue between communities and to increase information access to STEM and traditional ecological knowledge systems. So it's this area or the safe space where we all can talk story and integrate the sciences, the technology, the engineering, the arts, the math, the social sciences on issues pertaining that are important to our Hawaiian Islands and ecosystems. It's a collaborative effort, so we want to actually thank everyone that's here that's helping us, who's wearing the lei. They're actually been put the hands on together, so everyone from High Side, Jonathan Valdez, Ritin Gosai from East West Center. For the facilities, we want to thank Anake Pua Santos for allowing us to be at this place at Hawaii Niakea. We also want to thank PPA, the Pan-Pacific Association, GJ, and Takika for organizing the kava that we'll be having at the break, as well as Kamahana, who's from Hawaii Aloha Aina. A little bit of, and we can't forget about our funders. So thank you to Judy Lemus and Jennifer from Procy Island Earth and National Science Foundation actually for giving us some money to support us with the food and the kava and what we're having today, and having some of our guests who flew in from Outer Island. And at the end, because we need to be accountable, we would like you to fill out the survey that you got. So just do it as you're going, and then before you leave or holiday, just please put your surveys inside. A little bit about what is the Chaos of Sustainability and why we chose it. It was actually an idea between myself and Ritz, who's the we're both sustainability coordinators for East West Center. And we wanted to talk about how to live. And the format of the presentations is 10-minute presentations around this theme. And you'll hear quick presentations by knowledgeable people in their respective domain from different perspectives about sustainability. In the second half, after we have break for heavy pupus and kava, we're all going to participate in what we call a fishbowl discussion. And as you can see pictured here, how are the tables organized? The chairs organized. circular. And so we're gonna change it up and add the circle, finish the circle with the panel discussion. People can come in. We'll discuss more about what that fishbowl technology is once we enter that part of the evening. And don't forget at the end to fill out what? Thank you. That's really important. So a little bit about the event. We all know that climate change is, we observe that there's something happening in this world. And as people, sust-AINA, we listen to the land, we have that strong connection where we see what's happening. Sorry for technical difficulties. We see these climate change impacts. In the most recent report for 2014 on climate change impacts in Hawaii, we already observed, the scientists back up what we observed, that there will be an increase in air temperature, decrease in trade winds, which actually leads to a decrease in rain. But thank you to the heavens for the one that we're experiencing tonight. And that actually has an effect on the warming of the ocean. But that's all stuff that's kind of abstract and technical at times, but what really matters is what happens here. What happens when the mountains ships containers stop coming? That is a real deal. 95% of our food, export, energy, everything is exported. So what happens? What happens when the landfill fills up? A lot of things is what happens. And so that's what our guest speakers will be speaking to today. So our first guest speaker will be Dr. Diva McGregor. She's a professor of ethnic studies, and she will be presenting the Hawaiian sust-AINA-bility, the indigenous perspectives and lenses to sustainability from a Hawaiian perspective. And then we will also have, following Dr. Diva McGregor, we're going to have Dr. Richard Bishaw, who's an author and scholar of psychology, to talk about the psychology of sust-AINA-bility. We will also have CJ Elizares from Hawaii Sea Spirits Organic Farm and Distillery talk about AINA-bility. AINA is in it about the responsible resource management of AINA. Following his talk, we'll have Diva, and she'll talk about the business of sustainability from Hawaii Green Business Program. And lastly, Jen Metz-King from Coast Island Earth will speak about a trash-free year, a year-long trash-free lifestyle experiment. With no further ado, we would like to begin our talks and invite Dr. Diva McGregor. Mahalo.
Aloha. Setting up my presentation. Let's do it. Okay. Oh, you got it. Thank you. And this is based on an article that was published also in the book called Value of Hawaii. And we were asked to talk about what we see as important issues in Hawaii and how we would recommendations for improving some of the issues that have arisen over history. Okay, so Imau Ka'aina, Imau Ke'eo Ka'aina Kapono, and that's from a song by Alvin Isaacs in the 40s, and it translates as, let's strive to preserve what is good in the islands, so that righteousness may continue to be with us. And that's sort of the theme I want to talk about this evening. One of the concepts of sustainability that I wanted to share is this idea of kipuka. And in the rainforest, or in the volcanic forest on Hawaii Island, the kipuka are these areas of whole growth forest that remain after the lava has come through and covered the land, and Pele leaves behind these oases of full growth forest, from the tall trees to the birds, and all that is makes that forest. And these islands or in the middle of the volcano flow are called kipuka. And from these kipuka, the forest begins to regenerate. So these kipuka contribute to the perpetuation of the forest, its regeneration, and its revitalization. And eventually, if you were to fly over Volcano Puna, for example, you see how the forest is a mosaic of growth at different stages, given when the volcano has erupted and when the forest has come back. And I've taken that concept and applied it to the cultural areas in our islands. Cultural kipuka are rural communities that have perpetuated Native Hawaiian cultural customs, beliefs, and practices and language. And they are important rural pockets on Hawaii Island, on Maui. On Maui, I looked at the district of Hana from Haiku over to Upalakua, and also Kahakurua as a ahupua. This is shown here is YPO as an ahupua. That is a cultural kipuka. The island of Molokai is a whole cultural kipuka. And from these kipuka, the Hawaiian culture has begun to be revitalized in the 70s. So when we began our Hawaiian Renaissance movement, and especially in our experiences with Kapo'olave, kupuna from these kipuka, from Molokai, from Hana, and Ka'u all contributed to the work to revitalize our cultural practices on Kapo'olave. So Auntie Ole gave us the ceremonies to do the makahiki, which honors the season that we're now in and the rains that we're experiencing. And the other kupuna, Harry Mitchell, taught us how to survive on the island as Hawaiians, and an island that we have to bring our own water and our own food to. But and Uncle Harry Mitchell helped us, for example, reopen this kapapalo'i o Kanewai. He taught us how to lay out the lo'i so that the water could come off the stream and flow through the land and bring life to the kalo. So these kipuka are models of our potential as an island society to sustain ourselves. And there are many lessons we can learn from these rural communities as to how to sustain our resources as an island ecology. These areas, this is YPO, are an inspiration to us that, in fact, we can, through good practices, which are rooted in Hawaiian cultural customs and practices, be able to reestablish sustainability, and maybe just in pockets, maybe not society-wide. Maybe Oahu has more challenges than other islands, but on most of our islands, we can begin to sustain ourselves. And these kipuka are also sources of indigenous knowledge that we can apply in the cultivation of our land resources and our ocean resources. These areas and Hawaii as a whole were threatened with the shutdown of agribusiness when they left land open for development, and we have a lot of our agricultural lands were developed for subdivisions and for resorts. This is Kanepali on Maui. And these resorts also impacted our hunting and fishing areas, and also began to limit our access to these resources that our communities depend upon for subsistence. And it increased property values and taxes, making it hard for small landowners to hold on to their traditional ancestral lands. And tourism did not really replace the jobs that were lost to the phasing out of agribusiness. And in some of these rural communities, there's a lack of small business capacity and capital to invest in it. When we have new people moving into these rural communities on the neighbor islands, a lot of times the new owners did not establish a relationship with the communities and began to put up fences, began to try to block access. And so we have a lot of access issues that have developed in each of these areas. And one important principle of sustainability is people who move to Hawaii, who buy land in Hawaii, should realize that they're actually beginning a relationship with the land and a relationship with the neighbors who have been traditional stewards of the land, and a relationship with a community of neighbors. And when newcomers come and realize this, then we can have sustainability in rural communities can continue. But when they are not good stewards and they don't be good neighbors, then that's when we run into problems in our rural communities. How do I do this? Okay. So for sustainability of our AINA, these are some of the suggestions I speak of in the article. One is that our kupuna named our lands, all of the features of our land, for what they observed to be its characteristics, its nature. And if we respect these place names and begin to go back and understand what these place names reveal to us, then we can understand what resources are there for us to use and to use in a sustainable way. For example, this area is Kanewai. It speaks of a spring that was opened by Kane and Kanaloa when traveling the land and sat here to drink aba and made a spring to mix their aba with. And so we know that this area has vai, and there's a lot of water resources right here. And other names, Manoa, this area is very rich. It speaks of an abundance. The important thing also that we should begin to do to protect our resources is to support communities to map these resources so that we can know where these resources, knowing where these resources are, we can better protect them in the face of proposed changes in development that would negatively impact upon those resources. We have natural reserve areas. We should begin to also have cultural reserves. And for example, Ko'olawe, the island of Ko'olawe was recognized to be a sacred place and an important area as a cultural reserve. And it is one of the first cultural reserves we have, but there are so many other important wahipana and areas of important cultural resources that can also be cultural area reserves. The other important thing is to support communities engaging in visioning and planning for the sustainable use of their resources and supporting community-based economic development. On Molokai, we had a program where we developed a community vision for the future as part of an enterprise community application to the Department of Agriculture, and people looked at all the resources on the island. They said, we used to be an agribusiness island with planting, growing pineapple. When pineapple phased out, a lot of the lands are just empty. They've not been recultivated because of the impact of heptachlor. There's still black paper in the soil. But we have an infrastructure for agriculture to be revived. And how can we build on that infrastructure to, again, revive agricultural production on the island, and looking at reopening taro lands in the valleys on the north and on the east end, looking at reopening the fish ponds. And then community-based economic development projects. We have a lot of success here. Waiahole Waikane is a great example. And it's supporting communities in Waianae. There are community-based economic development projects too. And people are making sustainable use of their resources. The other important initiative among our main Hawaiian communities for sustainable management of our resources is the community-based subsistence fishing management areas. And the very first community-based subsistence fishing management area was finally approved by the Department of Land and Natural Resources in the last couple of weeks out of Ha'ena. Ha'ena will be the first. But here on Mo'omomi, which I'm showing here, Mapoipoi, Helm. Actually, Mapoipoi was the one who first came up with this idea of having such zones and empowering the community to manage their own fishing resources, to keep out commercial ventures from within nearshore areas that communities rely upon for subsistence fishing and gathering of marine resources. And WOMI has put together a plan, but it never got approved several years ago. It was about 10 years ago. We're reviving that plan now that IANA has approved. Hopefully, WOMI and other communities will be able to get approval. I know Middle East is one another area, and NEHO wants to also have such a community-based assistance fishery management zone. One important principle is that we need to plan around the sustainable yield of water. Water is our most essential resource on all of our islands. And if water is not sustainable, then we cannot have a sustainable society. And if we look at Hawaiian Ahupua'a management, water was the organizing principle for land use and management in the Hawaiian system. And the ahupua'a is built essentially around a watershed. Each ahupua'a is a watershed on each island. And depending on the amount of water in that watershed, it determined the amount of people that could live in that community. And if we look at where did our kupuna have their traditional communities, we can see that they selectively settled where there were important water resources, but when they used the land, they protected the water resource from where they built their land. So we can learn from the community, the layout of our traditional communities in terms of planning, and embrace this principle that water at all costs should be the main organizing principle. And then finally, we should respect our natural life forces. So in a move to be sustainable in terms of energy production, we're looking to alternative resources that really begin to have an impact on Native Hawaiian beliefs, customs, and practices. Because these natural life forces were honored by Native Hawaiians as deities. The life force of geothermal energy is Pele herself. And to tap into that life force is to really desecrate that entity, a deity who has been honored and worshipped for generations without end, continuously. And many of us are very much committed to making sure she is protected and geothermal energy does not deplete her life force. But the life force if we look to alternative energies, I call it alternative energies, because potentially these so-called sustainable energy forms, energy sources could negatively impact on our deities. The ocean wave energy is important. Again, we have to respect Kanaloa as the god of the ocean. Water, hydroelectric power is another source. Again, is honored by Native Hawaiians as Kane. Wind power, and that force was honored. Hawaiians respected La'amaumau as one of the forces that controlled the winds, and the sun, Kane, and Kanaloa. The rising sun is Kane, and as it passes over, it becomes the Kanaloa. So we also need to look at how each, in the sense of energy and protecting our resources, island resources, we need to really examine the potential impact of the undersea cable. And really should embrace the idea that each island should be energy self-sufficient. This idea that we should all be one grid is not a self-sufficient or sustainable approach to looking at energy sustainability and self-sufficiency. So thank you for your attention, and that brings a conclusion to what I wanted to share, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of discussion. Aloha.
Dr. Viviana McGregor. Proud to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Richard Bishaw, who will be speaking about the psychology of sust-AINA-bility. Without further ado, Dr. Bishaw.
Well, that was a wonderful introduction to my very short lecture. Higher, lower. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? No. Okay, mine is purely theoretical. I'm going to be doing a dance up here, I think. What we saw with Dr. Greger was some very good concrete examples of what I'm about to talk about here. I think I need to move over here so everybody can see it. Testing? Yes. Shall we begin? Okay. This is the psychology of sustainability, and it has to do with how we're born, how we come into this world, and how we're programmed. When we first come into this adventure called life on Earth, we're born with several, well, I think something like 100 billion neurons, with about 1,000 trillion connections between those neurons. And all these neurons are soaking up our atmosphere, the environment, at incredible rates. Now, what this does is it gives a vast amount of information initially, but soon we begin to hone in on those things that are really important to us. Those things that make us feel good. As a baby, of course, it's the mother and being fed and taken care of, and etc. And honing in on these things creates pathways in this mass of neurons. And these pathways become kind of like a very intense hypnotic state. And this hypnotic state is called a belief system, something that we are all very much guided by in our daily thoughts, our daily aspirations, our daily expectations. They determine who we think we are. They determine how we react and interact with our environment. Now, these belief systems can be very good things. They create our value systems, our behavior, the quality of our relationship with other people. It's a quality that, when you look at it very starkly, is a balance between either respect or resource. So we look at ourselves either as entities wanting or as part of a grid of life in which everything is interactive. If we have an open mind, that's a mind that sees everyone and everything around us as equal to ourselves, that we are a resource to others as they are to us, even the plants, the animals, etc. And we have an open mind. That's a balanced mind. If we have a closed mind, then we see only ourselves. And resources are something outside of ourselves that we use for the benefit of ourselves only. An unbalanced mind is a competitive mind. It exists in a world of win and lose. Some people win, some people lose. And win-lose results in feelings of selfishness, frustration, anger, violence, which pretty much describes a lot of our world today. As Dr. Greger was talking about, this kind of mindset is a type of foolishness that blinds us to the real life and the value and other things. While we think that we are pursuing happiness, and real gratification through competition. Actually, we're wasting our resources. And our resources are part of what we grew up with. They are the grid that actually describes who we are inside, because we developed along with everything else that we think of as resources these days. So we must have respect. For one reason, it's the same as we are. For another reason, we have very little knowledge of what's out there. The way we use things, we assume that we know a lot about everything, but we know very little. We don't know how much those plants are experiencing when we come into contact with them. We don't know how much animals experience us, or in what way they experience us. There are studies done that say that some of the primary thought processes in whales is abstract thinking and humor. That's far outside of the way we usually view other beings besides ourselves on this planet. In truth, the only person you are qualified to judge is yourself, because you know the most about yourself. But in truth, once again, you actually know very little about yourself because you're constantly changing. Find respect by showing respect for others. And in showing respect for others, you can delve more deeply into who they are. Seeing yourselves through the eyes of others helps you to see yourself more clearly. Anyone who has spent a lot of time in another culture, been embedded in another culture, who is able to look back at their own culture through the eyes of another culture, knows very clearly that what they saw before and what they thought before was very, very incomplete. So it helps to see yourself and your civilization through the eyes of some other civilization. And when I say civilization, I mean any of the other species upon this planet. We have a very anthropocentric idea of ourselves. We think we are the greatest. Perhaps we are in one way, but in other ways, there can be no greatness outside of all of us being together in that greatness. When we can look beyond ourselves, we see the mystery in everything. And that mystery is 2 minutes. I got it. That mystery is bottomless. Anyone who has done any kind of meditation knows that the beliefs that we have are a barrier to seeing who we really are. And we need to go beyond our belief systems to delve deeply into ourselves and deeply into our environment to see exactly what we are, who we are, and how we can really enjoy and benefit from our entire experience here on this earth. And that's all. Thank you very much.
Aloha, everybody. If you just arrived, mahalo, aloha, welcome. I'm Lelemia. I'm one of the facilitators for the Hawaiian Island Science event. Our next speaker will be CJ Elizares. He flew in from Maui, so welcome him. Maui no ko'oi. He doesn't need mic.
guess I do need the mic. Next. So, hello, my kako. So, I know I only have a little bit of time to talk tonight, so the thing that I wanted to get across is the title of my presentation, which is AINA-bility, Responsible Resource Management. For me, for us, AINA-bility has its duality in just the word. Knowing that the AINA, the land, can take care of itself without us. We are nothing without the land. And the second part of it is the communication with AINA. When you can dig your hands into the earth and you can feel the earth, you get a response. Therefore, it becomes your responsibility to take care of what the land produces for you. So this is a quick overview. We're going to talk about these different things. We're going to talk about our product, well, not so much. Maybe we can talk about it over our product after this talk. But we'll talk about our water use, our energy, building and consumption, as well as our community outreach. Yeah. So the mission of Ocean Vodka, you guys all can read, I'm just kidding, is to create a superior organic value-added agricultural product from Hawaii that supports the local economy. And we're competing globally based on the quality and raises awareness for ocean conservation. We are named Ocean, or our first product, Ocean Vodka, is named Ocean Vodka. One, because it's made out of deep sea mineral water, but mainly because the ocean connects all of us. We do believe that the earth is one piece. We are all one on this island earth. Our history with Ocean Vodka, we started in 2005 with the concept of enjoying a drink. Because we were here in Hawaii, we had to outsource a lot of our products. We wanted to head towards self-reliance. We wanted to head towards being self-sustaining and building everything and making everything here in Hawaii. With, again, the thought that one world, one ocean, we can do it here and it can be replicated throughout the world. Our facility is a small 80-acre parcel in Kula, Maui, where we have all of our operations going from our growing of our organic product, to our distillery, to our education system, to our visitor industry. We're open for tours every day. People come by and they don't only learn about our product, but they learn about what we're doing to conserve our resources. So, as Auntie Davy mentioned earlier, our water resource. Without water, again, we're nothing. This is a little snippet of what we have going on as far as our water source. We have our own pump, our own well, that we draw water from 1,100 feet from the island's aquifer. We then pump that water up into our 85,000 gallon, we call it the swimming hole. It's a reservoir where we have our fish, our freshwater fish in there, which add nutrients to the water. Because the fish produce so much nitrogen, we need to clean the water before it gets pumped out to feed our plants. So we have this, what we call a hydrology. It's actually a bog filter, which the water gets sucked out of our main pump. It gets pushed up through some gravel, and then it gets set back into our pond. A little less nitrogen. But we didn't want to lose all that nitrogen, so we wanted to use it. We wanted to use that little area to produce one of our main foods, which is kalo. We can harvest the leaves for whoever needs it at that time, and we can harvest the kalo when they are ready to be pulled. We make our products out of sugarcane. You can see the different. I wanted to use this. You can see the different canes that we have up there. We have a little over 30 different Hawaiian canoe plants, canoe varieties of cane. And you can see the way that we plant our cane here. We plant it by 10 by 10 grids. So each each plot, we call it estate planting. Each piece of cane has its own water system. We can keep our water only watering that plant only as much as it needs to be watered. And then we'll shut everything off and let the plant grow. The other reason why we grow it like this is for our harvesting methods. We go through and hand cut our cane and take it to the juicing press. We cut down all the extra leaves and the dead and dying leaves. They become part of the mulch, which lays in the field and regenerates in the field. We are completely powered by solar. This is our main building, covered with 240 panels. It has a 100 kilowatt hour system, and it runs everything from our distillery operations to our pumps that draw our water to the roadsides. And the excess energy, because we're in a very bright part of Maui, it's always producing solar power. The excess energy goes back into the island's grid and feeds surrounding areas. So, Pablo, we're going into a couple of different things that we have going on the farm. We've reached out, we've gotten help from more specialists. We've got hashtag K-Block, these guys who run the loy here at Kaneohe, to come out and bring 30 native taros to be planted in our hydro loy. After we harvested our loy, we replaced it having this heritage collection of taros to keep the species growing and going. And also to help with education, if anybody wanted to learn about those taros, and educate ourselves on what can grow in these types of systems. We also grow sweet potatoes there. Sweet potatoes have so many different uses. We partnered with a bunch of different groups, including Kuiwa Kaulua, Polynesian Voyaging Society, to grow the sweet potatoes for the worldwide voyage, as well as just for the community to have. We donate almost all of our potatoes. You say potatoes, I say tomatoes, potatoes. We also do roadside cleanups. We work with the elementary group. I know it's funny that an alcohol company is going to work with elementary and intermediate schools, but we do work with elementary, high schools. We do roadside cleanups and again, beach cleanups down in the ocean because that is our #1 focus. We also, by creating this farm, we create a learning center. This is here. We're teaching 4 and 11-year-olds how to catch their own food. Those fish did become their dinner that night. They catch that within our ponds. They take it home and we teach them how to cook it. We here in this mini loy, because we run a lot of big pumps that do need to spit out some of the water to clean them up. We didn't want to waste any part of that, so we built these little loy all around the farm, and the excess water feeds these taro, and then when they're ready to be harvested, we can consume that using every resource that we can and not wasting it. We also have these two things, which is part of our eradication projects, where we eradicate invasive species like axis deer and pigs, which just love our sweet potatoes. But we also love to consume that. That is another food resource where we can teach what the axis deer are doing on Maui, and as far as what they're doing to all the different farmers and different land projects. And our last thing for sustainability is supporting your local businesses. If you guys want to sustain me having a job, I'm just kidding. But we are a pretty big business. We're born and raised in Hawaii, made in Maui, and we're in 35 states. We're in 3 provinces in Canada. We're going across the world, and now we have our new run, and it's all made just the way you see it. So I look forward to your questions in this fishbowl discussion that we're going to have here, and mahalo for you guys for having us here.
Mahalo, that's really good. It makes me want to have one. Sorry. A very interesting presentation. We're very happy to welcome Diva. She'll be talking about the Hawaii Green Business Plan. Diva.
Thank you so much, Olivia. And thank you so much for the opportunity that you've given to me today. I'm so pleased to be with you here this evening. And so my name is Viva and I'm from Indonesia. I came here to do my MBA at Shadler, and right now I'm doing some work with Hawaii State Energy Office. And I'm hoping to share with you a little bit about what I've been working on, and I hope that we all can contribute in terms of improving sustainability in Hawaii. So, what is sustainability in business and how does business relate to sustainability? And so, when we talk about sustainability in business, most of people talk about the triple bottom line, which reflect the people, profit, and planet. Well, how these things work? Some corporates or companies often see this as a trade-off. When you're being sustainable, your cost goes higher than before. But actually, there's a concept that when you combine the whole value of people and also being sustainable, you're also actually making a good impact in your financial bottom line. All right, another term when people talk about sustainability in business, you may hear about the corporate social responsibility or CSR. And as the picture here shows, this is how the many corporations see the CSR. Why? Why do I have to pretend to care when I don't? I don't. And here's the magazine of A Better World Together. So this is really ironic because actually from the survey and the study, actually the corporates and company is one of the biggest bad guys in causing the climate change. So actually they're pretty responsible to fix this. All right, so actually behind it, there are so many benefits of CSR, which includes innovation, savings money, and brand differentiation, long-term focus, and customer engagement, as well as employee engagement. So how about in Hawaii? In Hawaii, the Hawaii State Office is transforming Hawaii Clean Energy's future. The State Office is trying to position Hawaii as a global leader in energy efficiency and also sustainability. In here, we have a lot of natural resources such as the wind, the wave, and the sun, and we have lots of potential in contributing to improve sustainability. So, Hawaii State Energy Office, or Hawaii State itself, have an initiative called Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative, which is leading the way in relieving our dependence on oil by setting goals and roadmap. And maybe some of you haven't known yet that we are targeting to achieve 70% clean energy by 2030. That's quite a lot. How are we going to achieve this? So the plan is to achieve 40% from renewable and 30% from efficiency. And this is a program that I've been working on since March. It's called Hawaii Green Business Program. So this is a free state program that assists and recognizes businesses in Hawaii that implementing a sustainability initiative or green business practices. So this program is actually a partnership between DBED, Department of Business, Department of Health, Board of Water Supply, and Chamber of Commerce. And why you want to join this? Well, because you receive a free technical assistant, you save your money, and also you got promotion for your sustainability effort. And how to do it is pretty simple. You just need to complete the checklist and then do the site visit and then get recognized. We have annual recognition ceremony that is usually in May or June, and this year it was in July 11th. So the goal of this Hawaii Green Business Program is we're trying to help businesses to go beyond the compliance, even though sustainability is actually this program is actually a voluntary program, but we are trying to encourage businesses and organizations to go beyond the compliance. And Some area that we are working on, including energy conservation, waste reduction, pollution prevention, water conservation, natural resource preservation, community involvement, and cultural preservation. So we're not only talking about energy, but we also talk about social issues like the cultural preservation and community involvement. Now our program has around 5 or 6 scope, including resort and hotel, office and retail, restaurant and food service facilities, and also green events. We also have green government agency, and we are expanding to grocery stores, program, and worship facilities. And I also realized that this event is trying to be the checklist as well. So good job, Lily and team. And so this is the program that we are having right now, and we are looking forward to expand our program to more industry. So this is some of the participants. A lot of big resort and hotels in Hawaii has been participating in Hawaii Green Business Program, and we have ceremony in governor's office every year, and they got the recognitions of the label of Hawaii Green Business Program. So why you want to join Hawaii Green Business Program? Well, it's because it's reducing your waste and saving your money. And the businesses itself also have the chance to improve the public recognition and promote their businesses, because many of the customers, they're more eager to buy green product or to consume green product that is like local, organic, you know. So, and besides that, you also provide a safer workplace and motivate and recognizing employees' environmental effort. There are many companies in Hawaii that has their green team and working so hard for implementing sustainability initiative. So as the government, we are trying to give them recognition, so to motivate them and also to get them promote their business in terms of public and customer engagement. So we have some study cases on how this Hawaii Green Business Program works and what are the proofs. The first one is Outrigger Reef Waikiki Beach. It's one of the biggest hotel and resort industry here in Hawaii. So they're doing the guest floors lighting conversion, and in Outrigger Hotel there are 635 rooms, 24 floors, and they're doing retrofit for 919 fixtures from CFL to LED. So LED is the types of bulb that is more sustainable and long and last longer and use less energy. It took only 2.5 weeks to complete this LED conversion project. So let's look at the result. This is just some numerical figures, but I would like you to highlight the final result, which is the consumptions of the carbon footprint from 312 metric ton carbon footprint to 63 metric ton carbon footprint. And that's a huge amount that is being reduced by implementing this program. What about the money? When we talk about business, we're not only, trying to save the planet, but we need some proof that this actually also giving positive impact to your financial aspect. So in here we can see that Outrigger saved their money almost 8,000 per month, which is also because they're saving their energy, and their carbon footprint. This also gives impact to Hawaii savings for 249 metric ton carbon footprint per year. So that's pretty amazing. The second example is Blue Hawaiian Lifestyle. It is located in Ala Moana. It has one of the best acai bowl, and they are also one of the participants in our program, and they've been doing a lot of amazing sustainability work. They're doing recycling, reducing, and reuse. So they offer corn-based and compostable cups or compostable cups and utensils for takeout. They also recycle the cardboard, paper, aluminum, glass, plastic, and newspaper, as well as electronic equipment. And for energy savings, they use the LED lighting as well, and they use the Energy Star equipment. They also purchase recycled cotton products, energy-efficient equipment, and green cleaners. And for pollution prevention, they also use a lot of LED lights, and they encourage the employee to use public transportation to and from work. And almost all their product ingredients are sourced locally. So this is just a couple really easy example that business owner can do to implement the sustainability and helping to contribute in social and cultural environmental value in Hawaii. And the third is Hawaii Green Event. So besides engaging businesses, we're also trying to engage organizations and schools that also have a lot of events in their organization. So recently we have some events that successfully implement the Great Event Checklist, including Concert on the Lawn 2014 by AWCPA. So they're putting a lot of effort in terms of using reusable decoration, and also they try to set the place for the events in outdoor, so it has the natural lighting, so they don't have to set up the light or use any energy during the daytime. And for TEDx Salon, it's also have a lot of reusable and recyclable material in their decorations. And the last one is the Hawaii Build and Buy Great 2013. There are many ways to reduce the waste in creating your event. So this is also applicable for schools, universities. It's not only for companies. Just the highlights of our events, Buy and Build Green Conference and Expo. So there is comparison between the waste from 2012 to 2013. So we have some measurement in terms of waste that we produce during the events. And in 2012, we have diversion about 16%. And in 2013, the diversion rate is 38%. So this means that by doing the checklist, they're contributing to a 23 decrease in trash weight per person from 2012's number. So it's really significant. Now, for you guys that would like to participate in Hawaii Green Business Program, it's very simple and easy. You can contact us for sure and fill out the checklist. And the second step is to participate in the site visit, and then you will get the recognition. Okay, thank you so much. To close this presentation, I would like to show a very short video. Sorry, I said issues. Is it working?
In Hawaii, Korea. In Hawaii, Kulia Ikanu'u means to strive to reach the sun. And with any journey, it starts with that first step and the motivation to embark on a path. In Hawaii, we are truly blessed with abundant natural resources that provide us with renewable, clean energy. However, we have found that not everyone knows where to gain the resources needed to take that first step. The Hawaii Green Business Program first began in 2002 and has since helped and recognized over 80 businesses that strive to operate in an environmentally and socially responsible manner. The steps to participate in this program are simple and free. First, fill out a checklist related to your business type. Second, participate in a site visit. And lastly, be recognized. Through every step of the way, we have professionals that will help guide you through the process and provide information, referrals, and resources to reduce energy usage and waste. As we strive to reach the summit, we must work together to reach our goal of making Hawaii energy independent. So, you ready to join us?
Thank you. Thank you, FIFA. Hello? 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 Aloha? Hello? It's not working. Can you all hear me? As he fixes it. Did everyone sign in? Don't forget to do that during the break. And if you get one of these, don't forget to fill this out while you're listening. I'm Lalimia, I'm your co-facilitator. We're gonna introduce our last and final speaker is Jennifer Metz-Kane, and she will talk about her life experiment of a trash-free year. No further ado, give her a round of applause. We have four. We have another. Oh.
1, 2.
Hello. Okay, thank you all for being here tonight. Thanks to Lalemia, Kamahana, and the rest of the High Side group for inviting me to speak today. I was kind of surprised being a part of COSI, and we're doing a lot of ocean stuff. This is kind of my other hobby, I guess, and so I was really delighted to be a part of this whole conversation tonight. So I'm going to talk to you tonight about an experiment I did on myself, and how I went through the whole process and what happened at the end and what turned out, and also a lesson I learned that I really think can be applied to anybody who's really interested in engaging in the sustainability movement. So it started in 2010. I was looking around the newspaper and I noticed there was an article in the newspaper that talked about how the city and county of Honolulu was going to be sending its trash to Washington State. And my jaw dropped. I was shocked. I will be honest, I wasn't really paying attention to a lot of the solid waste management news and processes, but I knew we had a new recycling program. We're part of the bottle bill. I thought we're doing pretty good. So this was kind of a little bit of a shock to me. And I looked around to see if there were other enraged people out there. See if there's on the news to see if anybody was protesting on the Capitol lawn or letters to the editor. And I didn't see anything out there. Maybe I didn't look hard enough. But what it made me do was kind of look inward and think, well, geez, if this is what's going on, maybe that's how things work. Your population grows, your trash consumption gets, trash production gets bigger, and this is sort of what happens. So I thought, well, let's see if I can do it. Can I reduce my trash? And so after grappling over it, talking to some people about it for a few months, I decided, okay, I'm gonna see if I can. And go big or go home, I'm gonna try just create nothing. See if I can create no trash for an entire year. So 2011 became my trash-free year. And going into it, I set up some parameters. It's kind of fun when you do your own experiment. You can like set everything up yourself. So I defined trash to be anything that I produced that could not be recycled here in Hawaii. It's pretty limited, so you only can recycle a few things, as well as, or couldn't be composted. So I also started a blog to help keep myself honest. That literally, seriously, that was the reason why I started this blog. Blogging, I didn't even know what a blog was actually at that point. I just kind of had heard about it, like I saw a couple online, like I have to do this because I know it's going to be really easy to cheat, as those of us who have done New Year's resolutions. It's pretty easy to kind of cheat here and there, and then all of a sudden you're just not doing it anymore. So this was a chance for me to keep myself honest. And so what I came to learn through the whole process was it always came down to the 5 R's. Now you're saying 5 R's? I thought there were 3 R's. I mean, Jack sings about, reduce, reuse, recycle, and there's actually more than just 3. Actually, if you talk to somebody who's really into conservation and the green movement, they'll probably say there's actually 7 or 8. But there were 5 that I really, that really helped me reduce my waste over that entire year. So yes, reduce is the first one. And then reuse was another one. Repurpose, which is kind of like reusing. Repurpose, if you're in the know, is also called upcycling. I had to learn that term as well. I didn't know what that was. Rot, which is your composting. Very, very key to doing what I did. And then finally, recycling. That was sort of the last part of the last thing that I tried to do. So tonight I'm going to talk about these, just a few little things, some of the things that I did following these 5 R's. It sort of just kind of came to be, but looking back, it was these 5 R's that I followed. So reduce. I learned pretty quickly that plastic packaging and single-use items, plastic single-use items mostly, were not going to be my friend, and it was going to be pretty challenging in this culture of consumerism and convenience to be able to go out and shop as I had before, to buy food, to buy toiletries, just as I had before. It was going to be very challenging. So, in fact, I'd walk into a grocery store and be like, whoa, what do I buy besides apples and potatoes? So I looked around and figured out that in order to survive, you have to gather some tools. And throughout my experience, I gathered some different tools. So for example, I would bring my own containers to the grocery store and say, hey, what do you think about putting that in here? And they would kind of go, depending on where I was, but Foodland, Whole Foods were 2 places, and Safeway that usually would accommodate me. And I would just stick the label on top, and a lot of times I go back to the same places and they get to know me. I do a lot of bulk food, obviously bulk grains, bulk pasta, that's pretty obvious. But I bring my own bags. A lot of times you go and people go to get bulk food, but they use a plastic bag, which I think is a little bit, I mean, it's great you're doing bulk, but the plastic bag is kind of just like buying it in packaging, sort of, if that's what you're interested in reducing. So I would do that. And even certain things, like instead of buying tea bags, I would fill up my own little tea container. I also have tools I carry around with me pretty much all the time. I have with me right now my handy handkerchief that I have on my hip or in my pocket all day long. And I use this instead of taking paper towels at the bathroom.
I rarely get sick. I know people probably think, oh, that's not hygienic or whatever, but I haven't ever had a big issue with it. Never had any big sicknesses. I also bring this to-go-ware, which is, I think I'm gonna do this thing here, a set of utensils, always in my purse. And then this bowl here is collapsible. I have it tonight. When food actually comes at some point, we're gonna, if you're interested, I can show you what that looks like. And that is, it flattens into like a flat piece, and you can put it in your bag. Cloth napkins. We do not use paper towels anymore, so one of our big tools is cloth napkins. Challenging to find them cheap here. If you go to a thrift store or garage sales, that's the best way. Savers, you can find the best napkins, cloth napkins. And I even got my husband to do this. We don't use any paper towels in our house anymore. And this is a Diva Cup. This is how I dealt with feminine hygiene issues. Not going to talk very much about exactly what it is, but it saved me a lot of money, and it changed my life, basically. So if you're a woman out there interested in that idea, potentially, I would Google Diva Cup to learn more about that. But it's amazing, and it's sad I think it's sad because you can't find it in your Longs and your Walgreens. They do not sell them. I think it's a conspiracy against, I don't know what's going on, but you have to go to you can order it online or go to a health food store, but it's an amazing product. Okay, so tools, very important to have those tools to reduce your waste from the beginning. Sometimes there are things out there, God, I have to have that okay, or I want to have that, whatever. And so I usually will look at it and say, okay, well, if I buy this, am I going to be able to reuse that? How can I reuse? That's how I look at it. If I'm going to buy it, it's like, okay, I'm going to eat it or consume it or use it. And then what about the packaging? So if I think I can reuse it, then I'll take it. Oops. For example, here's that Foodland container. Sometimes if we buy poke at Foodland, we will reuse those for lots of different things. And here we are at Yogurt Mama eating yogurt out of our own containers. And they don't care. And it's actually lighter than their containers. I also make my own deodorants. You use your containers, those number 5s. Those deodorant containers cannot be recycled in Hawaii, and they have to go in the trash. And so if you would be interested in this, you can you go through it and then you make your own. And it's awesome. And it works. I've done exercise at 24-Hour Fitness and did little sniff tests. One arm on, one arm without, and it totally works. So, yeah. Okay, again, so reuse. Sometimes there's items that you can't just reuse, but you want to, you might have to reuse them kind of in a creative way, repurposing. And this is kind of, I love to do crafts, so this is where this lifestyle is really fun for me because it makes me think creatively and out of the box. One of my biggest challenges during this was lint. So I do, the energy business person, I do have a dryer and I use dryer, and that's something on my list I want to try and change at some point. But lint that comes out often will have plastic, depending on what kind of clothing you wear. So you can't really put it in your compost. So lint, when you do lint, you can't stuff things with it because it's very flammable. So here it is in the tree. I'm trying to ask the birds to use it to repurpose their nests. I didn't get any takers that day. So I looked around some more, and here is some clay that I made with some flour and this other. I found this weird recipe online and made these weird pots. But eventually they kind of got gross and they didn't last very long. So lint is still a challenge for me, actually. And this is sort of a fun little thing. This is a candle, but I use it, the wax is made out of cheese wax from the outside of a roll of cheese. And the tea light container is a reused tea light. It was already done. I asked some friends if they had the extras, and then we bought little wicks. Okay, so one of the biggest ahas I had over that year was the power of composting. This, I would never have been able to do what I did without composting. So rot. I will be honest, I've always been kind of afraid of composting. I looked it up and it always said, you must have a container that it's this big and this long, and you always have to put this much in and layer it and then turn it. And it was very strict with the rules, so it kind of scared me a little bit. But I looked around and then I found one of these. This is a Trashcan Composter. You just get a trash can, you put holes in it, you put it up on a couple bricks, you cover it up, and you just start layering it with different things. So you throw in your food waste, which is all the green stuff. I'm sorry, vegetarian, but you can put your eggshells in there, tea bags, things like that. And then you put in a dry stuff in it. So this is how I did what I did. So you're thinking, okay, so she does all this stuff, but what about toilet paper? And what about toilet paper rolls? And what about paper and this and that? That you can't recycle. So I had a shredder. So I shred my egg cartons, my toilet paper rolls, all that extra paper stuff you can't recycle. That is not bleach, so it should be unbleached if it's going in your compost, if you're gonna use it to plant things. And I would shred it, and that's my dry stuff. I still do this today. And then you always want something that's gonna heat it up a little bit. A lot of people use grass clippings, but this is, I got this from Starbucks. They give away coffee grinds for free, and nobody ever takes them, at least the one in Kailua. I feel like I'm the only one ever taking those big bags. So if you're interested in gardening and want to do this, they have free coffee grounds for you there. And the coffee grounds attract worms. So that's the awesome part too. So not only are you composting, it's cold compost, so it's not too hot, so the worms aren't gonna die, and the worms do their thing. It's a different kind of worm than with vermiculture, not the blue worms. These are bigger worms, but they do the same thing. They eat the stuff, they poop it out, and they make it really great for your soil. And then you have this awesome soil after about 4 to 6 months. So I have 2 bins. One is churning, and then I use the other one to layer, and then once one is done, then you can plant. This was my first salad table, which I planted just with using my compost. So finally, the last step, recycle. I'm not going to spend much time talking about this. Opala.org is a great place to go. I will let you know that the city doesn't recycle. The city doesn't recycle as much as it possibly could. There are other places on the island that do recycle things. If you want to recycle your magazines, you can take it to Hagedon Printing. They do recycle magazines. Your bins at home, they don't take those. But I can, if you're interested, I've done a lot of research on that. So there is more recycling than you think, but there's not that much. So after 365 days of doing all this stuff, following the 5 R's, here I am. I did have trash. Sorry, I don't even think I did the whole year without any trash, but my trash was 0.75 pounds after an entire year. And I have the bag here, if you're interested in taking a look at it. Wow. Never gotten applause before. That's awesome. But if you look at it, you might be able to see even the picture, it's mostly medical stuff. There's actually birth control pills. I don't think they worked. I was kidding. That was a long time ago. And straws, things that, yeah, so there's still stuff out there that, it's interesting. I love hearing about all the different programs because slowly but surely we'll get there. Hopefully everything will be more sustainable down the road. So what I'm going to leave you with is the lesson that I learned, besides all of this, the ability to do what I did, was that not only did I do this for myself, but I affected people around me, and that was not my intention at all. I just wanted to see how I did it, if I could do it. And through my blog, and through just doing what I was doing in front of other people, people would watch me, and they'd come up to me and be like, wow, I love those bags, or where did you get that? And I had people come up to me and say, I don't use paper towels in my house anymore. I'm so guilty when I walk around you because of what you do. Not that I want to make people feel guilty, but I'm just saying, especially in this day with social media, one person has a huge multiplying effect because everybody's watching you. So if you're worried like, oh, I'm interested in sustainability and I want to do this and that, go for it. It's one person I can make a difference. It's going to take a lot of things to make big changes, obviously, but don't let that hold you back. For sure, one person can make a big difference. So I encourage you to come along. There's a lot of us, zero waste is another term, or trash-free people. And I have a couple of Twitter accounts, Trash Free Year. I also started a new one called Be Trash Free, and I'll have a website out pretty soon. I'm working on that to take all the stuff from my blog and put it in the website so it makes it easier to access for people. And then I have a way that you guys can contact me if people have any questions. Yeah, and then I also have an email address up here that will be a part of that, and that's live right now too. So thank you so much for listening, and can't wait to talk tomorrow.
Wow, what did you folks think of that presentation? Hello? It was an excellent presentation. Thank you, Jen. Wow, I learned a lot. Do you think you can do that? Yes, you can. We had a dynamic group of speakers, and we're going to break for 10 minutes. The food has arrived. Before we break, we would like to bless the food. Kamahana? Kamahana?
Yes.
Can you pull in for the food?
Okay, sure. I realize that we don't all pray to the same God. Maybe maybe people don't pray. But whatever your higher power is, we'd like to bless the food tonight. So if you'd like to have a moment of silence while others pray, or please join us. Yeah. So, Ipulika please bless the food in the hands that have prepared it, and we give you thanks, the higher power, for allowing us to be here and do this and engage in our discussion on sustainability. Amen.
Hello. So the food's ready, so go online, it's self-service. There's Ava Kava provided by Campus Association. By the way, before we go, did anyone bring their own reusable? Can I see who? How many people? Raise your hands. I gotta see it. I want to see it. We have some prizes. We have the notes available online for some of the presenters. You can check online. We have one of the notes. We also have seeds. So whoever's first that shows me comes up gets the pick first. So we have seeds, so you can grow your own food. And then the artwork over here for our poster was done by Kalani War. He's a really awesome native Hawaiian artist and artisan. He gave us permission. He also donated 2 of his artworks and he signed it. So it's for whoever comes here first to show me your thing. Thank you. We'll take a picture with you. Anyone else? Oh, somebody. Well, you gotta come. It doesn't matter to show up. Did you bring?
Please take our prizes.
So you want the seeds or the artwork? There you go. We have one more. Anyone bring seeds? Oh, here you go. You have seeds. Thank you. Okay, go eat, and go drink some pop-up. And we're gonna.
Turn off.
Okay, so there's like two different things, right? At the beginning, we thought it's the same thing.
Should we put it in front of the table? Should we worry about the table or just sit at the table?
Sit back to table.
But then there's a camera. Wait, never mind.
We'll be back on a commercial break.